about millennial mentoring, but I want to bring in Jerry and Pearson Law Firm, our newest and most wonderful sponsor for a lot of different reasons. We talked last time Jerry was on, we talked about the Veterans Advocacy Guild, and wanted to bring Jerry on to talk today about a lot of different subjects. But one of the things that we wanted to briefly chat through is we had a big snowstorm issue last week, and you can always tell around our town when there's a snow time because there's a lineup of cars at the local body shop. And so what are some of the things, tell us a little bit about what your law firm focuses on, and then tell us a little bit about how you might be able to offer some assistance to some of these individuals.
Well, let me give you, kind of define the context this way. If we're on the road, all of us are sort of in it together, but there's a lot of behavior that people have behind the wheel that it just seems as though they behave as though they are completely there alone. Everything from people who have four-wheel drive or SUVs thinking in the snow and ice that they're completely safe going faster. I mean, duh.
Four-wheel drive is not four-wheel stop. That's what my mom used to say.
I'm telling you, they don't really have a clue. And a lot of us, even growing up in areas, you know, we remember very clearly that first time we tapped the brakes and we're on black ice, and all of a sudden, the concept of black ice really came home to us. I mean, as we slid through the intersection into the tree, which my personal experience. But the context seems to be one of how do you get there safely, as opposed to how do you get there looking good, or how do you get there faster than somebody else. So the legal setting really does not care whether you're driving a Benz. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The thing to do in bad weather, whether it's visibility issues or rain, snow, whatever it is slow down. And the reason that's true is you're on the roads with a very large percentage of uninsured motorists. Step one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And
What's the percentage you
just think about the economy.
Yeah?
What people do is they start cutting expenses, things they can't afford. They can't renew their insurance. They can't keep their coverage. They get it initially when they get their car, and then they drop the coverage, or the premium gets so high because they've had an accident or something else, they have to drop the coverage.
Right.
So you're looking at county by county different statistics, but very, very large percentages of people who have no insurance at all.
What is the fine if you get pulled over for no insurance?
You know, I can't tell you in terms of criminal work, but I can tell you what happens typically is that if you have somebody who's been in an accident with an uninsured motorist, they get reported to the Department of Licensing, they get a citation issued, but if they broke your legs, it doesn't help you.
It's too bad.
Yeah. Like usually what you're facing is problems getting access to care because you don't have insurance coverage from the people that were responsible. Also, most of the legal principles that we deal with are fault-based. That is, you have to be able to prove that somebody was negligent in order to have coverage under their policy, or coverage sometimes under your own policy. So there's a whole variety of issues you just don't want to be anywhere near. There's issues about deductibles, there's issues about fault, there's issues about is a certain kind of harm covered? Is a certain kind of harm a pre-existing condition on the vehicle? Is it a kind of a maintenance or a repair or remediation kind of issue? So lawyers have taken what would seem like a very simple issue, and we have broken it down into incredible complexities. Then the insurance companies have buried those complexities into the insurance policies and the contract language. So what may seem like a very clear issue between two people on the street, by the time you go to the insurance policies, by the time you decide what are the exemptions, by the time you decide what were the facts and circumstances, turns into a lot of confusion with the insurance companies. And in my experience, over 30 plus years, although I'm quite well maintained, I would say,
Of course you
in my
are.
opinion, my experience over 30 plus years with insurance companies, and no disrespect to insurance companies because they are a very, very valuable component of America and society, the claims component of the company is separated from the premium collection part of the company. They're like two different cultures. And the claims side is basically trained to delay the claim, deny the claim, and try to essentially diminish the claim. Those are the economics of insurance. Hold on to the premiums as long as possible and make it very, very difficult to obtain a payment and try to get the claim settled for as low as possible. So you're entering, anytime you don't slow down in bad weather, you are entering a risk zone that puts your family in jeopardy, your own life in jeopardy, your economic ability in jeopardy, your ability to get to your job. It just makes no sense at all to not slow down. And when possible, you stay off the road. So we give people a lot of direction and a lot of advice that has nothing to do with really legal claims. It has to do with insurance terminology.
Right.
Where do you start? What questions do you ask? Who do you call first? So we provide that a lot of time just as a courtesy because, you know, truthfully, Kim, seriously, we really are in it together. And if you don't think that's true, get on a highway during bad weather. You are in it with people you don't know. You really are a community of people at risk. And the best thing to do
I don't
is
travel in bad weather.
it's really prudent not to, and sometimes it's very difficult. Difficult to be off the road where you've got to go someplace.
What are some of the things that you're seeing as it relates to, okay, so someone's been in an accident. What's kind of the top few things that people are really surprised by that they didn't realize?
I think that there's a structural approach in legal and insurance circles. I think that's surprising to them. There's this sense that there's a right and a wrong, kind of a moral question. Well, that's not right. Or the right thing to do would be etc. But when you enter the legal world, frequently it's got to do with liability as an issue, who's at fault. It's got to do with how much harm was there, whether it's property damage or an injury to people, right? And then it's got to do, did the negligence cause the harm? And legal claims involve those issues all the time. We live in a comparative fault state. Most people don't know what that means. Here's what it means. If Lindsay and I are driving two different vehicles and we crash, she could be partially at fault and I could be partially at fault also. And if that's true, then she's partially responsible for the harm to my car, and I'm partly responsible for the harm to her car. So you can have comparative fault. If you can have it between Lindsay and myself, now let's put Eric on the road. Right, I'm not going to look at him directly in the eyes, but let's put him on the road and let's make him a really prudent driver. But he happens to turn at a location where there's a risk. Now there's three of us involved, and each of us could be partially at fault for each other's harms. So many times people literally, they don't know what to do. What they want is their car fixed, or they want to be able to get well, or they want to be able to get the care they need. And instead what they run into is a structural discussion that is so far beyond any sort of rightness or wrongness that it's just really confusing.
So how do you protect yourself besides go slow and preventive, you know, like anything else, prevention is you know, most
prevention
of it.
is the key. But once you're in a situation, what you want to do is you want to really document what's happened very quickly and carefully. And a lot of people, by the way, technology again, going back to that issue, a lot of people that come to us don't even realize how prudent and great it was to take a photograph of the accident scene or to take a photograph of the other car with their cell phone. And when those people bring that into us, we go, oh.
That doesn't happen enough?
Oh, it happens so much more frequently than it used to, and now I'm almost expecting people to think about it. And when they don't think about it, it's a big mistake. They really need to document what happened.
Well, we need to take a break, and we're going to continue on this discussion because I think this is very relevant information, and it's fascinating. Thank you. You're listening to Walk the Talk with Kim on Alternative Talk, KKNW, AM 1150. Come back, and we'll talk a little bit more legalese with Jerry Pearson.